Hey everyone, we are the Three Princes and we go around looking for things to penetrate deeply.
Intellectual. Welcome to our show. It's going to be one of those days.
It's deep. It's
we
very
did
interesting.
this matrix, right? If it's hyper learning or if it's the other component that I don't want to mention.
Which is
So we did this matrix, right? On when we went on the little escapade to Ventura. The matrix of learning versus fame. If it was either learning and fame or just learning, then we would do it. No, this is just learning.
This is just learning.
So we're doing it.
Yeah.
So we're doing this again.
Yeah. Fuck it.
welcome to a season 2.
I just started going, I started my leave period for the year, and it was a horrible day to start with. I got a full blast of the Sri Lankan government. Yes, I went to RMV, and that is a shit ass place. It's horrible. That is the epitome of not using budgets to its full effect, and that's inefficiency personified in its full.
Yeah, that's the definition of I can't seem to cut away the dead weight. Like, what's going on here?
If you really,
that entire place is dead weight.
it's not as simple as that, right? Because the government is one of the largest employers in Sri Lanka, and if you cut that many people out and salaries out of nowhere, our economy is going to have skyrocketing unemployment, people who can't reskill fast enough because these people are used to the public sector, right? How are they ever going to find a job in the private sector?
Pay them, and tell them to stay at home. It will lessen corruption make people do whatever the fuck they want to do.
There'll be riots all over Colombo. Moon nikang indala kanawa.
No.
Yeah, translation. Anyway, back to budgets, right? So we're going to be talking about a relatively boring subject today. To start off,
crucial. It's absolutely crucial.
To start off of season 2, this is, I think, is something that I don't think we spoke about at all in the previous season, right?
No.
So, but it's so fundamental to everything. I mean, money runs the world,
Yep.
and thus money runs marketing. And the more money you make, the more money you can put into marketing as well.
Correct. So let's look at it from not from the perspective of marketing. Budgeting is very critical to business because the common misnomer, the common belief is that budgets are what is given to a marketer or a brand manager, and the brand manager spends it. That's the in unevolved companies, that is the basic thing. The marketing guy is there to spend money, to make ads. So they take the money, make ads and put the ads out, and hopefully things come back.
Right.
In any evolved company, in a company that is marketing centric, brand managers are business managers. So they are responsible for the money that they make and the bottom line that they make out of it. So if you spend too much, that means their bottom line is not made. And we'll get into that detail and nitty-gritty later. What you need to try and understand is that budgeting is probably one of the most critical skills a good brand manager will learn. And probably and I know this because I was not great at budgeting, but I had to learn that skill and I applied that skill. And I've seen brand managers that are really good with budgets. And budgeting is all about detail and granularity in one aspect and strategic thinking on the other aspect. And we will get into those two elements as we go along.
So a small anecdote while we're going along this. So I had a really nice run-in with budgeting over the last week or so. So I'm getting married in February. And I have to move out, right? So this means
you're fucked.
Yes, but also has taught me budgeting because
That just comes from the married part.
this is even related to the house, right? This moving out business got really complicated really fast because you realize very quickly that you don't have money to do all the things that you really want to do.
Yeah.
So we had a very tight budget and a house to renovate that we needed to move out to.
Yeah.
And that was the moment that you realize you really need to stretch your money as far as you can.
Correct.
So the approach I took to it was to look at what can you not live without and prioritize it in ascending order, descending order, ascending order. Basically, the things prioritize it.
Yeah.
From the most important to least important.
Yeah.
And only once we did that did we realize, we really don't need a 55-inch television. That's not necessary.
Correct.
No one's dying because that's not there. And the second you take that out, you're like, oh shit, maybe we can completely upgrade the bathroom because now there is no TV that's bogging the entire budget down.
Yeah.
So you prioritize exactly, and genuinely, like if you guys at any point are upgrading your houses, pay attention to your bathroom. You're going to be spending a lot of time there, and after you're done there, go to the bedroom. Most people spend a lot of their lives there.
So anecdotally, let's look at it. Okay. You're looking at what has to get done to manage or survive.
Yeah.
Budgeting is not that. Good budgeting is what do you spend to grow.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So the argument that we all, my fiance and I would always have is it really necessary? And necessary is defined by the two stakeholders over there, right? So, but one was functionality and the other one was aesthetic. So it came to a point where we had to argue about, do you want to live in a pretty house that doesn't really let you live? Or do you want to live in a house that looks like shit but has all the technology you can possibly need? And then finding the middle ground between having to balance all of these different things.
I would go further. So when I say it's not only what you spend on, like what you're talking about what is being spent on.
Yeah.
What you will realize when you go along is that, okay, fine. What percentage of is it that I'm saving and what percentage of that am I investing?
All right. Okay.
What will make that? You said how far can a budget go?
Yeah.
But how far can a budget go? Not only to make me survive, but how far can a budget go to make me grow?
How can I build this house so that because I built this house, I can build another house?
Correct. So you need don't look at it from the perspective of I need to spend to stay awake, stay stable, or just survive. But how can I use it to manipulate it in a way that makes me grow?
Okay.
So a thing you can look into then is to rent out one of the rooms so that the income from that helps supply either your electricity.
Now you need to spend money on
more
that
disposable income.
Yeah.
Correct. So now you need to spend money on that room. You need to get a bed for that room and you need to maintain it. You need to put a TV in there. Rather than putting a TV in the hall, maybe you can put a TV in there. So that is essentially I think that's a great anecdote for what business budgeting is as well. Okay. So budgeting, the way we look at it in like two different angles. One is there's a granular budget and there's a top-down budget. So we look at it in two ways, up and from the top,
bottom up and top down. Yeah.
Top down and bottom up, right? At a very company level, which is the strategic level that we do, and I'll take you through our process when it comes to budgeting. Strategically, what we do is we set ourselves a goal. So every year, somebody gives us a target, or we decide on our target. Actually, not somebody gives us a target, and that's a very wrong thing to say. We give ourselves targets to grow.
Okay.
We say.
And how do you decide what a good target is?
So like for example, we have simple formulas. We say like population growth plus GDP growth plus inflation plus a percentage, because if you grow at population growth, GDP plus inflation,
you're stagnant.
You're stagnant. You're not growing ahead of the market.
Yeah.
The objective is always to grow ahead of the market.
Increase penetration.
Yeah, increase penetration. Grow ahead of the market. So it's not penetration per se. Penetration is how you do it is penetration.
The method, not the result.
Yeah. How you do it is penetration. But The objective is to always grow ahead of the market. Why that is the case is almost all our companies are publicly listed.
Okay.
Our capitalization or market standing is built on how much return I can give. How much return I can give is built on which stock the buyer buys. So if you have two companies, if you have A company, B company, and C company, if A company is giving me a better dividend, or if B company is giving me better growth versus a C company that is giving me mediocre dividend, mediocre growth, I will either choose between A company or B company, which is better dividend,
That
more
depends
growth,
on your
because more growth.
risk. Yeah.
General understanding is more growth will lead to greater profit later on in life. Yeah. So you can be an investor that says, I need more profit now. That is dependent on your portfolio right now.
Yeah, it depends on your affinity to risk.
Yeah. Right now.
Yeah.
Alternatively, I can say, no, I can take a hit on my dividend, or I can take a hit on my this thing, because I know the share price on this, because these guys are growing. Share price on this is going to go up, and later on I can sell it and I can make more money. So that is the kind of equation that we have. So that is at the highest level. In the corporate world, at the highest level, that's the first thing that we do. And mind you, we say that is that on a corporate structure, that applies to even countries. Countries build infrastructure basis that same principle. So even countries choose what to invest in and what not to invest in. What will give us more dividend over a long period of time.
Countries?
Even countries. So like the
Countries
same,
and dividend though?
yeah,
bonds.
so-
Oh, yeah, okay.
no,
but
bonds
don't work.
No,
that
Macha.
way, yeah.
It's about, if I put money into education, I will get a dividend
right,
20
right,
years
okay.
down the line.
Sure.
If I put it into roads, I will get investors into the country. If I put it into tax rebates for new companies, I'll get it right now. So don't look at budgeting as this very narrow subject. It's not a narrow subject.
It's very all
Budgeting
encompassing
is
sort of
investment. So don't look at budgeting as what I can spend. If you ever have a budget, you are an investor.
Right, okay. So wait, can we take this conceptually to another level? Does that also mean that budgeting includes time budgeting as well in this? Yeah, that's a thing that is...
Time is a very pivotal part in all things, right? In business, it's pivotal because you can choose to have cash today or return tomorrow. Like you can choose.
Right, yeah.
Time is a very in everything that I will say from this point. Time is probably one of the most critical factors. You can get growth this year, or you can set up business in a way, or you can invest in a way that you get growth 5 years down the line. So time is a very critical, like a holding point for almost everything, right? So first thing about budgeting, it's not about spending money. It's about investing. It's about investing in the right place in the right levels that you get optimal return for.
Absolutely.
And you can choose what the return is. You want profit? One. You want growth? That's another. You want
Okay, I'm going to
cash
ask a
today?
very grassroots question here. But what is the difference between growth and profit?
You can get growth without profit.
Okay.
So there's growth, profit, and cash.
Yeah.
You can get growth. I will make my company grow. I'll put all, like for example,
So I get
Amazon keeps on pumping money into the
market
system.
share?
Yeah.
Market share versus like revenue to cost.
Amazon. Pump money in. No profit. Amazon still has not broken even. It is not returning any money to anyone. Yeah.
Amazon?
I'm not
Amazon
sure.
is.
I'm sure
just
that's
double check it.
Uber.
No. Amazon over most of these companies, like even I think if I'm not mistaken, Amazon still hasn't broken even.
Okay.
So it's growth today for a pipe dream of profit tomorrow.
Right.
I'm actually picking this out of a VP's speech that was made. But the idea is growth today for profit tomorrow. Well-established companies, especially blue chips that you operate, profit today, steady growth, consistent growth. Alternatively, profit today, don't want growth. I'll give you 3 companies that work like this. Amazon is pipe dream tomorrow. Pipe dream of profit because you are growing at such a staggering pace.
They're making profits now.
They're making profits. So like they took what them 20 years.
But they made more profits than they had made in the entire this thing in like a fraction of a second. Like the second they did.
Imagine an investor that put money in 20 years ago.
14
years ago, 15 years ago, 14 years ago into Amazon. He was not seeing profit in the system, but he was seeing growth, right? So he put money into that. Companies like Unilever, steady. Unilever, Nestle's, proper blue chip businesses which are steady. Your money, it's like putting money into a bank.
Right.
The return is slightly higher. It's not too much. It's not a lot. Return is slightly higher, about 2%, 3% higher than your average bank return. But nothing will happen to it. Yeah, you are getting it.
So
and the third one is cash. The third part of it is cash. Or basically, it's not over leveraged so that there's no risk of this company going bankrupt at some point or the other.
Okay.
So, in much the same way you invest, business people invest in businesses, marketers use it. So, it's an investment fund. I use my investment fund to pump money into my mix.
Right.
The elements of the mix I choose. So that's
Just
my
like you choose what
That's
goes
my
into your
skill set.
portfolio.
That's the skill set.
Right.
So budgeting is not a Excel sheet of I am going to spend on this. I'm going to spend on this. I'm going to spend on this. No, it's a far greater exercise, and that's why I come back to the point where I say there's a top down view about it and bottom up view about it. So I'll tell you how we do it so that you understand. So I can take you through the process. First, there is a target. So we say we need to grow at X%. Okay. How do you grow at this X%? Generally, we have a portfolio of brands that we operate with. Okay. And that portfolio of brands have high growth brands, high profit brands, mediocre growth brands, low growth brands. Low growth brands that are very large, contributing to your turnover. So if you don't fund them, they will crash, and when they crash, not everything will follow, because the crash is too much. The business will not grow. Like everyone else will grow, but this one massive brand is not growing. That means everything will get dragged down.
Right.
Yeah, and the growth will get negated. The growth of other brands that are doing well will get negated. So you can't not spend on those.
Right.
So it's this gentle balancing act that you do. So first thing we do is we get growth. We look at our portfolios and we say, on this brand, I will spend this amount of money. On this brand, I will spend this amount of money on this brand. So how you do it is, in general, you say the most common, the easiest way to do it is, we say, what is the percentage of turnover that you apply to that brand? Okay. So some brands have 10% of your turnover allocated as a spendable budget, 10 to 15% allocated as a spendable budget. Some brands have 40 to 50%. So 50% of its turnover is being spent on. So for example, if you take a newly launched brand, we roughly spend our entire turnover on as a budget.
Okay.
If it's an old established brand, we spend anywhere between 5 to 15% on that, because we don't have to spend that money, because the structure has been built over time. The memory structures are there. People already use it. You don't need to.
It's the advantage of having a brand.
That's one advantage of having a brand, actually. Yeah. So what we do is we set down on brands and we say, if I spend on this brand I will get this amount of growth. If I spend on this brand, I will get this amount. So you do a calculation on this. And it's a very gentle balancing act.
So how do you perform this calculation? Like what are the main metrics you would
So
use?
you take a P&L, you take a profit and loss account. You put down, you do a simulation. You put it down and you do a simulation. If I grow at this rate with this gross margin and this spending level, or media spend, like BMI, or that's wrong word, advertising spending level, I will get this profit.
Right. Okay.
Because you remember, you have to deliver both top line growth and bottom line growth. Yeah. So it's both ways. So you do it for multiple brands. So sometimes on brands that you want to bet on and you want to grow, you spend more money. You are sure of them growing. The mix is right. Everything, all it needs is injection of money. I will put injection of money and I'll make it grow. Brands that are not growing, I need to take money away from them and I will want to pump back money into the brands that are
performing.
Yeah.
Right.
So but if I take too much money out from the brands that are not performing, those brands that are not performing will capitulate much faster.
They'll
So
basically
all the growth that I'm getting on the other side will be lost.
settle out basically. Yeah.
So you need to do this balancing. So that's the first thing that we do. We set ourselves spendable percentage of turnover that we can. So we set ourselves a growth target and then we said, in order to achieve this growth target, this is the kind of investment that has to go into these brands. Step up. And this is a live thing. This happens definitely at the beginning of the year. This percentage mix and all that, we shift around every quarter or something like that. We shift it around, put more money in one place, reduce money on another place. Because some brands are, if a brand is declining, that percentage of spend goes up because it's a percentage of turnover. So
Yeah.
when
Okay,
the
that makes sense.
when the
It's
turnover
inversely
goes down,
proportional,
the spendable percentage goes up.
Right.
So when that happens, you have to reduce it from that line. So you need to play this balancing act across the board of this portfolio. So that's how you declare budgets or how you set the budget. Then an average, then a brand manager picks it up. And brand manager does the same thing, but not with a portfolio of brands, but with a mix. They say, what element of the mix, if I support, will I get more return?
Right.
If I support media, if I put more money on media, I will get this amount of money. I will get this kind of return. I will get this kind of growth. If I put it into sampling, I will get this kind of growth. Activation, X. What else? Those are the traditional ones on budgeting. If I
There's process and packaging.
So if I put money into packing, so that's the other thing. This is a difficult one to explain. So you can take a budget and put it into traditional things. Budgets are generally spent on advertising and promotions.
Yeah, because penetration.
You can always reduce your budget spent on advertising and promotions and improve your product. Quality of product can be improved, but reduce your advertising spend because your gross margin remains.
And that is not
gross
for growth.
margin. Yeah.
That is not for growth now, it's for growth in the future. More or less.
Yeah. Even for growth now, for example. Okay, so let me explain this. I have a brand that is generic brand. Say I have 10% A&P, advertising promotion spendable capability on this brand. Say it's a $1 billion brand and I have 10%, right? I have over time realized that no matter how much money I put into media, it makes no sense because it's still declining.
Yeah.
It's not growing over time because something else in the mix is wrong. So instead of me putting money into media, that 10% into media, I cut it in half. I make it 5%. Then I have saving that I get. I say, I will take that 5% and I will make a correction in my product. I will improve the quality of my product so that all that money that I take away gets utilized in the product. If the problem is in the product, I solve the product problem. Not spend more money on India. So one thing I always tell...
There's no point selling more shit.
No, there's no point spending more money on media. There's no point spending money on media if people are not buying the damn thing. Yeah. You can spend all the money if your product is shit. No matter how much advertising you do, people will not buy
So
things.
would you say that R&D to improve the product over there is a marketing expense then?
It is. Don't look at R&D to improve the product. It's what you spend on the product. Like for example, the net quality of the product has to improve. It's not what you spend on improving the product. It's the actual real quality of the product has to improve.
I don't understand.
Okay.
Like I need a more tangible.
Because I think
example.
what you think of R&D is anything that comes out of R&D automatically makes a product better.
Not particularly, but the process of research and development is to improve something, right? It's either a process. If you sell a service, more or less, it's your processes, right? And if you are doing R&D to improve your process, then you're basically improving your product there.
So R&D, so don't look at this. So it's different parts of the P&L.
Okay.
So R&D is like goes way down. It's what you call
like
R&D is people, no? R&D is people and resources. R&D is research facilities, people and No, it's so in a P&L, in a profit and loss account, R&D sits at the very end. It's after your...
Which is my my question is.
So the difference. The question I understand the question you're asking. When I say I need to improve the product, it's not spend money on R&D to improve the product. It is to improve the product itself. So I spend, like, if a product costs me, if one bar of soap costs me 10 rupees, okay, I reduce 5% of my A&P budget and I spend 12 rupees to make the same soap bar of soap. The bar of soap itself quality increases.
Improve the quality of the raw materials that you're purchasing.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Improve the quality of the raw material, improve the quality of the process, basically the raw material.
Right.
What you do on the bar of soap.
And that comes from a viewing of what the client requires from a bar of soap.
Correct. The
So
consumer.
if there's no point of the amount of money you put into R&D itself unless the value to the client has increased.
Yeah. So R&D is a cost. R&D is a cost, but
what I can understand from over here is improving the product is basically working with your supply chain counterpart and saying, get better stuff. This is crap. Like what you've delivered over here.
Yeah.
Right? And to do that, he's like, no, I can't do it for free. This shit costs money. And you're like, okay, here's like 50 million. Like deal with this problem and make it go away because this is getting into our bottom line.
Correct. At a very basic level, that's exactly what happens.
Okay.
Because in order for me to give a better product, I need to spend money on that product.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. But I fail to see how that works in services. But
maybe your service is outdated.
Maybe updating it in some ways.
Or maybe you're delivering it wrong.
Even on services.
Yeah.
Applies the same principle. If your service, if your problem is the service delivery, it's like, for example, you have take RMV that I went to today. If you spend more money on increasing these people's skills and efficiency or increasing more number of people, take that as a bucket. The service delivery will increase. The group there will be more. RMV is a bad example.
No, actually, it's a perfect example because you can spend more money on training them on customer delivery, right? Which is definitely improving the product. Yeah.
You don't have to
more people aren't going to come because that's not the nature of that service.
That's not nature.
No, but that is not how a DMV works.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I mean, if you take it in terms of the quality of the product and improving it, which is the point
Yeah,
over
correct.
here, that makes sense.
Just to go home without wanting to throttle the guy you're going with.
So now you see the distinction between the two.
Yeah.
I am not spending money on marketing. I'm sorry, not marketing. I'm not spending money on communication. I am taking money from communication and putting it into the product.
Yeah.
Because there's no point communicating a bad product.
Basically.
Exactly. So that is the complication of communication. So
Right,
you
that's
should
a
never
completely-
see.
that's
You should
brand
never
new
see
angle
a
that I never
budget.
saw.
You should never see a budget as the thing that you spend. It is a line in your profit and loss account.
It basically sounds to me like budgets are a prioritization matrix.
Correct. It is.
You basically vote with your
Spot
money on
on.
what's more important.
Spot on. That's exactly what it's a prioritization.
Yeah.
You prioritize what. See, the mix sits across the P&L, right? Okay, this is as a concept. You have a profit and loss account. So, how a profit and loss account works is you have selling price, cost of sale, and you get turnover. Selling price minus cost of sale is turnover. Then you have the cost of manufacturing that good. Yeah, cost of manufacturing that good minus that cost of manufacturing good comes to your first ratio, which is gross profit.
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
gross margin.
Yeah.
Minus advertising spend. So gross profit minus advertising spend gets your second ratio, which is what we call profit before overheads.
Ice.
Yeah.
Which is what we call profit before overheads.
Sure.
Yeah. Minus that is your people cost.
Okay.
Yeah. Which comes to the operating margin. This is absolute margin. It is EBITDA or earnings before interest and tax. In normal colloquial language, it's EBITDA. Then you have taxation, interest on financials that you do. Then you get absolute profit. So that's at a very basic level what the hierarchy of a P&L is. And your mix sits across this P&L. Yeah. Quality of the product sits in the manufacturing process. Quality of advertising sits in the PBO line or profit before overheads line. So the mix sits parallel to the not parallel. The mix sits across the
It sort of
P&L.
envelops the whole P&L.
Correct.
No? Yeah.
The P&L is a reflection of the mix.
Yeah. Yeah.
The quality of the I remember I always say that if you look at profit and loss account is a DNA of a great marketing mix. The quality of the marketing mix can be deciphered through a P&L.
Yeah.
Think of it like it's DNA. It's the underlying premise of a good brand. Yeah. So budgeting is not necessarily what you call what you get to spend. It's what you need to do, and therefore I need this amount of money to do it. So that's the top-down approach. That's okay, fine. This is what I need to get done. If I need to improve product, I need to reduce advertising, and then I need to improve product. If I want to improve packaging, I need to reduce this, and if I want to give a discount pack at a cheaper rate, then I have to reduce my advertising spend, and I have to give the discount pack. If I want to increase physical reach, if I want to get more outlets, I need to go to more outlets, and I need to give a better trade margin.
So across the board, it sounds to me like a budget is the investment you need for the value you want to create.
And the budget doesn't necessarily sit as a budget. Budget is what you can spend
Okay.
across this thing.
Right.
It is the difference between what you earn and what you eventually get as profit. That entire gamut is your budget. It's not just the spendable line. It's not only the marketing budget. The marketing budget spreads across the entire P&L. That's the conceptual difference that most marketers will always grapple with. I always tell my brand manager.
So, how much finance knowledge does a marketer realistically need to have? Because I always assumed that this function that you're talking about is something that finance should be sitting down and telling people.
Finance does a huge task in this past. But
this is a marketing
you are the business owner, no?
Right, okay.
They can advise you, but it's your decision. It's always your decision. Like, for example, how much I am in 10,000 outlets, I want to get to 20,000 outlets. I can't get to 20,000 outlets because the traders in those 20,000 outlets are not buying me because the margin is too low. The trade margin, what they are getting out of it is too low. So I have to increase it. That becomes my decision. It's not a finance decision. It's my
finance
decision.
can only tell you that this is evident. Like, these people are not buying.
There are many mechanics and techniques for us to do it. Evolved companies will always have business managers. Like, even the finance guy knows marketing. The R&D guy knows marketing. Now knows business. Everyone knows everyone else's job. At least a basic level.
So I'm starting to grasp a really good idea of it, and then it just occurred to me that so initially when we started this episode, we were joking around saying, so how do you do marketing on a zero budget, right?
Yeah.
But then I realized that
that's actually really silly now.
No, like, you are exceptionally good at this, because if you realize, like, okay, so at his level he has $1 billion to play with, right? Yeah. But as a, let's say, like, your ragtag team of people who are getting together to try and build a new idea, you might not have the capital, but you have something else you can invest, because it's a game of investment of them. It's time.
Yeah.
So how has your experience, like, I remember during our PA days, the last 6 month stretch, right? That was a utter clusterfuck. But moving on to now, which is an entire Puppet Animations, the previous company. The landscape right now on how we're handling the Nessius and its marketing, because obviously our budgets are nowhere close to what he's talking about. We actually don't spend jack shit on our marketing.
We spent a total of $16 in the last year.
Yeah.
Because you're a service organization, time is a valued
it is the commodity. Yeah.
It's the commodity.
Yeah. And not just that, because we don't have the capital, right? But even with the capital,
if we wanted to put money behind it, we can't.
Yeah.
No, but you are disproportionately investing through time.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
Like,
so
for example,
time, competency, skill development, and all that is still budgeting.
It is still budgeting in essence.
And so the question?
The question over here is, what do you think has been working? Like, in terms of, so you are essentially doing what everyone wants to do, which is zero budget marketing. But now we know that a zero budget marketing just means that you're not spending money, but you have to spend something.
No, there is when you look at it that way, I have a budget of 24 hours a day.
Yeah, and how do you divide that up?
For a service organization, that's the way you should look at it.
Yeah, I have a budget of 24 hours a day. I have to take 5 to 6 hours out of that just to sleep so that I can do do the next day.
Fucking amateur.
So at the end of PA, I was doing 22 hours a day.
Yeah. That was the run that we were going on. Yeah. So, but how are you managing it now? Like, how do you prioritize how you should be marketing with your time?
Okay,
now?
So I look at it from my customer's point of view. If my customers I have to meet my customers during business hours.
Yeah.
I can't change that. So between 9 and 5, I put all my meetings together.
Right.
And any production work that I have to do, I do after 5. Or if I have space between the meetings that I have from 9 to 5, then I fill that with production work.
Yeah, okay. That explains your laptop and having to work on the go.
Yeah.
So that you can stop somewhere in the middle and then just like fill the time
or
in the middle.
Not stop somewhere in the middle, just work when I'm traveling.
While you're traveling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that too was a budgetary expense.
So when we invested in that laptop, what we were essentially doing
is... You are releasing time.
Yeah.
Which is it's an element of your budget.
Yeah.
So applies for service industries, applies for FMCG industries in much the same way. So the release that people have, like especially young marketers, will always say my budget is not big enough. There is honest problems because companies don't trust
Marketers with budgets.
with budgets, right?
I mean, they don't. It's
young
not
people
very
with
clear,
budget,
yeah.
you should not trust young
Partially
people with
because-
money because young people with money are dumb.
I am offended.
And not just that, like most marketers don't have control of the whole mix.
Correct. That's why evolved companies end up giving that responsibility at both ends. Growth plus profit.
Right.
To the marketing team. That again is the reason that they end up getting paid more, and you need competent people to manage the entire mix. But good marketing companies have the entire functional base supporting. All of them know what each other is doing. So you don't. I mean, you come and talk to a finance guy at, like, say, a Unilever. They're fairly proficient in their marketing.
Right.
You come and talk to a supply chain guy in market at Unilever, they understand business really deeply and honestly well. Everyone knows they have their functional proficiency, which is a speciality, but they understand how it applies to the P&L across the board.
Right.
And when a person, like for example, supply chain guy comes and tells me, I can reduce this amount of money, I can reduce the cost of this by doing this. R&D guy comes and tells me, I will reduce this and I'll give you more profit. He understands my mix. He understands if I fuck around with my product, I will not get customers. So that balance. So marketing necessarily doesn't this budgeting exercise is not necessarily what you call a marketer's budget. It's not an individual's spendable value.
To me, so I read this paper like 2 or 3 days ago. It's about the economic impact of design. And there's a thing called a design ladder. You have companies that have non-design. You have companies that have design in styling. You have companies that have design in processes, and you have companies that design in strategy. To me, this sounds like an exercise in design processes and strategy.
Correct. It is.
Yeah.
That's what we
Basically, you're a multidisciplinary design exercise going on constantly.
Correct.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're doing is you're designing for growth.
And what kind of growth you want?
What kind of growth you want? You want profit growth. You want turnover growth. What kind of growth you want?
Yeah.
Are you setting up for the future? Are you looking for cash today? Not profit. Are you looking for cash today? Like for example, I'll give you the difference between cash and profit, right? I can give, so on average, say a company gives 1 month's credit to a trader.
Right.
So you sell the product, you wait for a month, and you collect the cash from the trader.
Sure.
Okay. That means I have a deficit of 1 month of cash. Money has not flown into the company. Profit on the books, but money has not flown into the company. If I choose to, I can reduce that to 2 weeks, the credit that I give, and I can generate cash. I can take that 1 month and make it 2 months. I can generate more profit because people will buy for free, obviously. And I can generate more profit, but I'll reduce my cash position. So budgeting, my perspective is it's not the budget I get to spend on doing a communication. That's the most unevolved version of it.
Right. I think when you're given the kind of tiny budgets that most marketing people are given, that's the only thing you can do.
Makes sense.
No, that is the limitation of your thinking. Budgets spread across P&Ls.
Okay, if you don't have control over the whole marketing mix, and you're given like a...
So if you don't have control of the whole marketing mix, find ways. Yes, a stiff shot. Find ways where you don't have any chasers, right?
Right next to you on the ground.
Yeah. Find ways to impact the rest of the mix, because to a company that doesn't believe in spending money on communication, which is the budget that you get for marketing, if it doesn't believe in communication, fine. You don't believe in communication, we agree with you, not a problem. You are willing to spend money on product, the quality of the product, I will make you spend more money on the product so that I get a better mix. So even if I put a little bit of money...
But if you don't have control of the product, how do you do that?
You need to find it. You need to make it happen. If a marketer sits back... See, I keep on saying this. I keep on repeating my boss, Sudhir Sitapati, who's probably one of the best marketers. He has just released a new book. I think everyone should read it. I haven't got it yet. I pre-booked it. But what marketers should... We design growth hypothesis. We make growth hypothesis. And we make it come alive. We hypothesize that this is where the growth comes from, and we make it come alive. That's what marketers are supposed to do. Having a small budget is no reason for you to go and say, I have a small budget, I can't spend money on it, so I really do. No. If the company's base principle is, I want great products, make the company spend more money on the product.
Makes sense. So that was a really interesting question that my dad asked that was related to this. I mean, it actually is a really good example of this decision-making skill, right? So were you there for this?
Today, yeah. If you got $1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million. With a stipulation.
Here's the story, right? So you wake up tomorrow, everyone you know disappears, right? World exists as it does, but you do not have the resources that you currently have. Instead, everything is replaced with $1 million.
Everything that you have is replaced with $1 million. No structural capability.
Nothing at all.
No friends, no support
nothing.
structures.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
You have $1 million and you have to invest your money. Okay. If you put it into a bank, there will be a $20,000 fine that is imposed per month if you are not investing your money.
Apart from the interest rate return?
No, none of that.
Nothing.
There is no interest rate.
So you can't put it into a bag. Literally, you can't.
You can't put it into a bag.
Yeah, if it's sitting there, $20,000 gets deducted every month.
Yeah. What are you going to do with it? Because you've got...
If I have $1 million, I can think of like 100,000 things to do with it.
Go on. Think of one thing.
Budget of $1 million.
You have $1 million. And if you do not spend it, it will disappear.
I will put it into... So I will build it in two ways. I need to live and I want security.
Okay.
So I'll put about 50% of it into security-based assets. No, security-based assets.
Assets are also considered sitting and doing nothing. Because if you really look at it, assets are just rich people banks.
Okay. I will put it into stable investments.
Such as?
Blue chip companies. Companies like Unilever, companies like Nestle's, Procter & Gamble.
How much would you put? Exactly. Like
about 50%.
And what would you do with the other 50%?
I'm a financial conservative. Okay. About 30% I will put into a passion project. Things that I want to like. I like.
Right. Let's talk about the passion project. That's pretty much where we are trying to get to over here.
Yeah. So
this passion project.
I've always wanted to host people. I love doing that. I want to start a hotel.
Okay. How much would you invest in this hotel?
About 30%.
So $300,000.
$300,000 I'll put into like buying or setting up a hotel or one or
so $300,000 is you'd roughly end up spending about $100,000 for the property itself and a further about $100,000 to build it. So you have $100,000 left over now. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? You have $100,000 left for your hotel. How exactly will you be running it? Are you going to be doing it alone?
No. So
you'd hire people.
$200,000 is ample to set up. Like for example, in Sri Lanka, it's ample, ample money to set up.
So the devil is really in the details in this, right? So what do you do with the $100,000?
No, even with the $100,000, you again. How many rooms that you want? How many acreage that you want?
So we've already built it. We've already built the hotel now, right? Now you have to run this hotel, right? It doesn't generate money just sitting there.
No,
A building just does not generate money.
I will. So passion project means that I have natural energy. I will do marketing on it. I will spend money on it.
How much would you spend on the marketing of it?
That would depend on the
That
number of rooms.
depends.
No?
That depends. So I think to get to that answer, Dwal, you need to really break it down. Because
See,
I can't give you a top line.
This was the crux of your
Which
dad's
is
argument, right? Which
is
is what you need to have a
detail.
business plan, a detailed business plan in your
That
head.
is entirely detailed. That is entirely fucking detailed.
No, but that is what it's supposed to communicate. That is the point.
No.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, like
a lot of
right now
people
when
listen to me. You didn't listen to what I want to do in the last 20.
Yeah. What are you going to do for the last
So,
20%?
300, I will invest in a passion project, something that I want to do. Like for example, my dream is to build a 30-room hotel. If you want to know the details, I want to build a 30-room hotel on a beach in Sri Lanka. Have a house right next to it and run the hotel, and that's my retirement objective. That's my passion project. That's my money.
Okay.
So I have safety on one side. If the hotel fucks up tremendously, still have something to fall back on. I will do about 30% on
the passion project.
Passion project. I will take the balance 20% and I will put it into really high risk investments. I will go and fund young people with stupid ideas and try to make things work.
Moonshot
Cool.
programs.
So the next iteration of this question is: an investor comes to you with $1 million. He's giving it to you. Now you understand how investment works. That is pretty much what all this budgeting talk was about. How are you going to be generating money with this million?
The variables are endless.
Because now you can't put into a blue chip company, because then the investor can put into a blue chip company himself.
You can just cut
If
you
somebody
out.
is giving me $1 million, I can put it into. See, if a investor is giving money to me to generate higher return, that higher return inherently is risky.
Yes, absolutely.
Return is risky.
Absolutely.
Higher
That
the
makes
return generally becomes risky. If I have no other option, I have no option of putting into this thing, I have no option of putting into a passion project, nothing else. I just have $1 million. Again, detail. I will go and pick out the best ideas, idea after idea after idea after idea after idea, and I will.
But you're then taking the place of the investor, right? So that is what the investor is doing, and he has given you $1 million. How are you what do you have as a skill set that can make that million into more than $1 million? You are the business now.
Okay, so if you're asking me that question, me as an individual.
Yes. I have $1 million, I'm about to give you $1 million now. How are you going to spend it?
I can take relatively unformed ideas and make them very structurally sound. That's my skill.
Okay.
I can see ideas much more.
So basically,
this is
he's saying you give me $1 million and a bunch of pretty good ideas with potential, and I will harness the shit out of that potential.
Correct.
That's
my skill. That's my skill.
Pick one idea and tell me what you will harness. Which one it is?
No,
What set of ideas do you pick from?
how many are there?
Okay, Dinesh, throw him an idea and we'll see how he's going to make some money out of this one.
Oh, this is really hard.
So this is really impromptu.
If you tell
by the
me
way,
what an
yeah.
idea, if you tell me the idea, I'll tell you whether it's in like very at the top line. I'll tell you whether it's workable or not, and whether it's structurally.
Okay, so this is something that it's just, I like I said, I read this paper like 2 days ago, and I've been like cradling this idea for about 2 days, so not much thought. But I want to introduce design-based strategy to the top level of companies.
Okay.
That is what I want to sell as a service.
If I have $1 million, whether I can make that happen?
Yeah.
Very easy.
How would you do
the
it?
best? I'll hire the best strategist in the world.
How much would you budget for that?
How would you budget that?
Yeah.
The entire fucking $1 million.
You're going to give $1 million to another guy.
I'll hire 3 people. Okay, I'll give them a average salary of about what, $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year, right?
So $360 a year, basically.
Okay. I will get them. So
3 what?
Yeah, because there's 3 of them.
Right.
yes, exactly. And I'll get them to pick up thoughts and structure. So I will go into structuring existing ideas. I will take the balance, $640,000, and I will tell them, okay, fine. I have an idea out of you. That idea, I will fund, say, $100,000 idea. I will fund your basic startup. So I'll start up. So I'll do about four.
Again, you're going into the business of turning into the investor.
No, but
Right?
No. The difference is this. Where it is value addition would be me.
Okay. And what is the value that you're adding over there?
My value addition is, because I'm working with this guy, the 3 people that I'm like, I get like not brilliant. I get relatively good thinkers, structurally sound thinkers. I can move them to structure your idea and fund it at the same time. See, the problem about most of these young people starting, which is what I've been always telling you guys, right? The problem with you is, all of you young people, is it's not that you don't have the ideas. You have fantastic ideas. You have the capability to do it as well. You have the skill set to do it as well. You don't have the inherent structure to perform it, because you don't understand P&Ls as in detail.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
He probably does.
No, in detail, in depth.
He probably
You don't
does.
understand taxation in depth. You don't understand what we're talking about. You don't understand which element of the mix that you need to spend money on.
No, we never.
That's
I don't think till
structure.
today we thought of a mix as something that envelops a P&L.
Not particularly.
No.
It's a different element.
You don't think of it like that.
No, we don't.
So imagine somebody who has capability to think of it in that manner. That comes and tells you, what you do well. I will structure your business in a way that makes sense to you.
Okay.
Yeah. I will not take anything from you. I will not take your vigor from you. I will not take your passion from you. But I will put guardrails and guide rails, so that you can go on your path. I will get the right accountant. I will get the right R&D person. I will get the right HR person to give you the right input. That's structure. I will build structure for you. That's value addition. That's pure value addition. That's the problem with the world. Where you guys and I differ is, I was built in the structure,
Right.
but I can see the potential. Am I deeply, because my, like you say, personality like mine, it doesn't let me, because I told you, I'm a financial conservative. Yeah. It doesn't make me move to do high risk things.
Right.
Because frankly, I don't need to.
Yeah.
I live a fairly comfortable life, and that's all I want. I want to live a fairly comfortable life. Am I ambitious? Yes. But I still want to live a fairly comfortable life.
Sure.
So that's the thing. I can create, so value addition comes in structure.
So the issue with the entire
We are going
pitch,
far away from budgeting, by the way.
no, this is still very much budgeting, right? The issue with that entire thing is, you have not clearly explained to the investor, which is me right now, how much I'm getting back for my $1 million.
For my idea.
That's detail. I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that knowing what the project is. I can't tell you what that without knowing what the structure is. I can't tell you very importantly, who I am working with, how long it takes to return. Those are details, man. Those are, see,
Do we
nothing
even have,
operates.
do we have
You must
ballpark
understand.
figures?
Let's talk about okay.
I'll tell you. This is one thing that you must always remember. There's a lot of energy in creating ideas. Three of us are one of those. We have, there's a great energy in creating ideas. And what Irfan said.
It's the execution. There's beauty in the execution.
There is beauty in the execution. The execution is all about detail. When I say God is in detail, literally everything is in the detail. If you
Pretty
must, you must
Exactly.
go down to the detail. It's about the detail. It's about which element of the PNL are you going to push? Are you going to bolster the HR, or what you call the people element of the business? Are you going to spend a lot more money on the people and less money on advertising per se?
Yeah, okay.
So you must choose which element. That overarching structural capability, most people lose, especially young people tend to lose, because you are entrepreneurs. You do it.
We're very high risk. We're geared for
geared for high risk, because there's nothing to fall. There's no fall in this entire exercise.
I'm not even sure if it's that, right? Because from my perspective at least, after doing the nitty-gritty of the niches, when you're stuck doing something like a brochure, then rising back up to the point of thinking from a strategic level, saying, okay, but where is this going? It's very hard to make that transition. Like imagine
that it's very hard, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's very hard for you think that it's very hard for you to do it in as a startup business or it's very hard
for
even
anyone. Yeah.
Even in a corporate system. You are so bogged down by operations, and to think strategically is difficult. And if anyone thinks that I can do both, they are liars.
This is
you must make the effort and move it. You must get there.
This is what I remember about 2 or 3 weeks ago. You said you wanted to have all the meetings in the morning period and then knock it off and then come back home for work.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, but when you do meetings in the morning, you get into the meeting mentality, and then you don't the work
Switch
mentality is different from the meeting mentality.
Right.
Those are very specific behavioral things. Don't get bogged
I
down
guess
by those
it's
things.
difficult to blanket
People
it
like
out
you
as,
should not get bogged down with things like that.
What do you mean?
Don't get bogged down with structures of that nature.
Right.
I'm not talking about structures of that nature. I'm talking about structures at a higher, slightly higher level.
Okay.
Where I'm saying it's not necessarily about the meeting. It's the kind of meeting that you want to spend time with. It's time on, the kind of projects that you pick. That level you need to have.
Because my fundamental problem there is when you're in production mode, at least for us, because it's production mode and then there's client servicing mode, right? If you're in production mode, you don't have time to negotiate. You shouldn't be negotiating with design.
If you are in production mode,
You shouldn't be. So what?
no, you should not.
You should negotiate with
One
design,
is
right?
execution, one is operation.
Exactly.
You
need to
technically you should. That's thoughtfulness. That's thought.
Yeah.
So once you have
whatever
thought
effort-
things through, once it's done, execute.
Exactly. But whatever effort that you need to put into production, you need to put that effort.
Yeah.
Or you get a crap production and
Yeah.
then your value goes down.
Yeah.
But when you're in meetings, then you're constantly negotiating, trying to figure out, okay, what is the value that I'm trying to create for you and what are you doing for me? Where is the win-win situation between the interaction between the two of us?
Yeah.
It's a different mindset.
Correct. It will always be different mindsets.
Yeah.
It will permanently be. It will never go away because you can't think operationally in a strategic thought process.
Yes.
Because operational is today.
Yeah.
Strategic is long term. It's choices that you're making in directions that you want.
That will have long-term ramifications.
Yeah, that will have long term ramifications. So you can't straddling between that extreme and this extreme is
Is a state you have to get used to.
it's a necessity. It's an absolute necessity. You have to do it. There's no out of if you are a worker, then if you choose to be a worker, you are a great tradesman or you are a brilliant coder or whatever. You don't have to be bothered. Do what is being told to you well.
The brief is given to you, you execute the brief.
Execute the brief perfectly.
Yeah.
If that is a life that you're choosing, there's no harm in that.
Makes sense.
There's no harm in that. Because what you realize is if you are really brilliant at it, you set your own vision for that execution. What you need to understand is there is vision overarching, and in the execution there is vision as well. Great executions have vision.
Yeah.
So if you are say for example, you are a great coder, you can code extremely well, somebody gives you a brief and you push that to a next level, that's perfectly fine. That's your skill. That's fine. If you are a general manager who's straddling between the two, learn the skills on both ends. There's no harm. You don't have to be a specialist in one thing. You can be a specialist in one thing and be a generalist in many other things as well.
So basically the T structure of skill building.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Anyway, we are coming close to an hour, I think now.
Yeah. That is a massive segue. So we need to get back to budgeting.
But this was an exercise in budgeting time, right?
Yeah.
Because there is a lag between changing between these mindsets. At least for me, there is a lag. Like I would prefer if I could take half an hour off and change my mindset and then start working again. But if I go straight from doing sales to I finish my sales meeting, I get into a try show, and then I start working on the way to the next meeting, my mind is all over the place.
Yeah.
I never have good designs then.
Yeah.
Because I'm always trying to say what's the least I can do to give an output here.
So that's a very specific thing. You need to work around that.
Sure.
Don't think of it as a limitation. Because
if it's not a limitation, what is it?
It's a skill. If you can design something between half an hour on a try ride from one place to the other, it's not a limitation. It's a skill. The glass is full. It's not empty.
Okay.
You have to look at it from that perspective. But just look at it from that. But when it comes to fundamental budget, again, I'm pulling this back in the conversation. I think we had like a massive segue. I understand why I had that. We had that segue, but what you need to understand about budgeting is not about how much money I get to spend. Budgeting is about understanding your
how can I maximize the return on this?
Yes, correct. Maximize the return across my P&L.
Not just top line, not just bottom line, across the board.
Top line, bottom line, and time. It's multiple variables. Yeah, it is slightly complex, and the best way to do it is to do it. It's literally to do it. There is no. You need to develop the skill to do it. Yeah. So practice it on an ongoing basis. So I'm going to come back to this last thing. So there's a top view of budgeting. This is top-down method, which is what we spoke about. Strategic budgeting is not budgeting. It's strategic investment. It is what you will invest, which brand you will invest in, or alternatively, what.
Part of the mix.
Yeah, so it's what brand you invest in your portfolio. Or alternatively, it's what part of the mix you will invest in
For that brand.
that brand, whatever. That is the top-down view about it.
I mean, most companies, like
The
even in
second
our
part of it,
even
the
in our
second part
demographic,
of it.
only have a single brand in their portfolio.
Yeah.
Right? So
The
it's pretty much a
bottom-up
mix.
part of it is critically important as well, where you need really conscientious people to do the detail of it. You need to account for every cent that is being spent. You have to account for every cent that is spent. We talked about this top view very broadly, but no budget works on percentages. Budgets work in absolute rupees spent. Yeah. I can't say I want to spend 10% on media. No. I am going to spend 1.25 million rupees on media. That's a good budget. That's a good brand manager. That's a good business manager. Percentages don't work when it comes to real life execution. Execute with detail. That's bottom up budgeting, which is arduous for us. Some people find it very interesting, and like I have brand managers who know every cent of everything that has ever been spent on every brand that they operate in. Every detail. Like when I say every detail, they know every fucking detail. That too is a skill. Not everyone can do it, but that too is a skill.
I mean, absolutely. I mean,
This
keep it
sounds like something that I'm interested in.
tracking
You
every
need
single
to-
tiny little
Yeah.
movement. Yeah.
Good business people, if you ever talk to a good business people, they will never let go of 100 rupees without thinking about it. Never. That too is a skill. And if your personality is to talk about the top down version of it, understand this one fundamental thing. That is cock and bull if you don't understand the granularity of your money that is being spent, where it is being spent. Not in percentage terms, but in absolute rupee terms or dollar terms, in specific. So, and we think that is not strategic. It's arduous. It's the things that accountants do. No, that's what good business managers do. Good business managers know exactly what is being spent, exactly where. It's hard for some people, it's not hard for some people, but if you have that skill, if you are very specific about the money that is being spent, you have a very specific skill. Nurture it because there is a lot of value in it. Tremendous value in it. So it's not only it's detail.
Yeah, I kind of understand that from a big five situation, right?
Yeah, it's a very big fight situation.
Yeah, because
Big
you
five
have to
personality
be industrious and orderly to execute that.
Very highly conscientious.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And most of the time, if you're a conscientious person, either you are industrious or you're orderly. But you need to have a combination of the two to be able to execute this.
You have to be industrious. So different people pull in different directions, right? There's
Orderliness is a must.
the orderliness is an absolute must. If you are building a business, words of wisdom. If you are building a business, always have either highly conscientious accountant or highly conscientious individuals around you. Otherwise, don't start the business. Who can account for every cent that is being spent?
Right.
In detail, in fact. So critical. Because we will have people like us, people like the three of us, we'll have visions.
Here's 10,000
Yeah. We will have visions.
Yeah.
But very importantly, even if you are like that, build the skill to be able to do that. To go down to the detail, go down to the Excel sheet and pick out. I am spending this $100 or 100 rupees on this on specific things.
Yeah.
That is very, very, very critical. Without that, nothing works. Without that part of it, we talk about 50% of the problem. Without that, then we spoke very little about the balance part of it because it's not sexy. It is not necessarily sexy. But without that, no marketing exercise works.
Yeah. Balance sheets have real curves.
It's garbage in, garbage out, right? So the previous section relies on good data to make decisions. You wouldn't know whether something is going to give you more returns if you don't have experience. So, like for example,
data and whatever. Yeah.
you don't have the data. You just don't have the data. If you have the wrong data, it's even worse.
Yeah.
So if there's no one to collect the data meticulously, if there aren't people who are doing it, it's a clusterfuck.
This makes sense to me from a insight gathering perspective. Just like we interview clients, customers to understand what insights to generate ideas from. If you don't have the proper financial insights to generate what the as is state is, then your desired state is always going to be in flux.
Pretty much. In flux, it's not going to have a great ground to stand on.
Permanently in flux.
Yeah.
Don't have your financial in flux.
Yeah.
Never. Worst thing for a business to be in. Okay.
Yep. Good episode. Cool.
I think that was
very long, very boring.
We gut punched you. We punched you in the liver in the first episode. If you've ever been punched in the liver, that's not pleasant.
Yeah. So I think we have different lighting and all that shit.
Yeah, we up the production quality. We have this is not a paid advertisement. Cheap bastard, Charithin Pala.
He's a fantastic food photographer, and
he's a fantastic food photographer. He's a fantastic portrait photographer.
He's lended us his fantastic equipment to do some fantastic
What else do you
things.
do? Let people
Give
hear
a
your
shout out,
voice.
man.
Get me on episode 3, you hear for yourself.
Done.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Sounds
There
good.
you go.
We'll do that.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. And we will see you next week with Irfan, if possible.
Yeah, we'll see if Irfan's around.
Yeah.
We're also trying to get, I don't know if I can say this out loud, but who cares? I'm trying to get Shiran Fernando, Chief Economist of Chamber of Commerce.
Yes. So this is going to be a good season with better production quality and far more interesting people to talk about.
Other than the three of us, like all our guests last season were great. Were kind of boring.
we will get there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Cheers. Good night.
Good night. Ah, nice.